How to sleep when anxious. Isn't that the worst? Are you like I was when I had PTSD and I was trying to overcome this anxiety and panic issue? I would be okay during the day, much better than at night when all of a sudden every single thought I had was worst case scenario. I was nervous about the next day. I worried about dying. I worried about my kids dying. I worried about the worst case scenario that could go wrong that next day. And it's all voices in our head, and I'm sure you felt the same if you're with me. Maybe you don't suffer from super duper anxiety, but maybe something is coming up tomorrow or within the next week and you're feeling so anxious that your head is just spinning and you're thinking of worst case scenarios, right? They're not based on fact, they're based on our fears. So if that sounds like you, I want you to go ahead and listen to this video. I'm going to share with you 7 things that you can do to prepare for sleep if you are prone to anxiousness and anxiety. And then at the end, I'm going to share the actual exercise that I do right before I get into bed. This not jumping jack exercises, but the physical exercise that I do to get rid of that anxiety before I go to sleep. And that's something very important that people need to understand, is that you have to prepare when you're an anxious person, because I made the mistake of not doing that. So if you're new to this channel, I want you to go ahead and subscribe here, hit that little bell to get notifications for every new video we do. We do these trainings every week. I want to be there with you to help you figure out how to find joy and freedom again in whatever it is you do, whether it's your business or your life. Go ahead and subscribe here and I will help you do that. And at the end, I've got a little freebie for you, so stay tuned. We have to prepare ourselves. Like when I was going through that state where I had been suffering from PTSD, I was cut open during a surgery and the anesthesia wasn't working, but I was paralyzed. So long story short, I was awake for 20 minutes while they were cutting me open and nobody knew it. So I endured that pain, and then the thought of going to sleep petrified me. It absolutely petrified me. What happens is your mind starts thinking, when you have anxiety, of, like I mentioned, the worst case scenario. And that's what I was doing. No matter if I had a good day or not, I felt like the worst case scenario was going to happen if I were to go to sleep, or the next day, or the next week when I was preparing for something. So what we have to do is try to prepare for that feeling. And I didn't realize that. I was just trying to go to sleep, and the next night would come and I'd say, okay, let's try again. And I wasn't preparing for that. So here's some things to do before you actually get into your bed, whether or not you're feeling anxious. This is going to help combat that. So the very first thing you want to do is make sure that your room is cool. Okay, so even turning down the heat, maybe 2 or 3 degrees, is going to signal to your body that it needs to warm up. And when it feels cool, your body feels cool, it's going to start giving off melatonin, or this chemical in your body that helps you get to sleep or to fall asleep. And you want to get as much of that pumping as you can. That's why people take melatonin before bed. It helps them sleep. So to do that naturally, you want to keep a cooler bedroom. Okay, so that's tip number 1. I would do that probably the hour before you go to sleep or get into bed, so that you can make sure that that is going to be happening. So the next thing you want to do is mentally not have anything distracting or creating stress before those 1 to 2 hours before you go to sleep. And by that I mean specifically social media, reading news articles, watching TV, anything that creates an adrenaline rush for you. And people say social media puts me to sleep. It doesn't. Your eyes, number 1, are getting bombarded with light from that electronic, whatever screen it is, and it's giving off blue light, which is the worst for you because that wakes your body up. Okay, so you want to turn off your electronics 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed, and then just rid yourself of all that stress and actually prepare, create a ritual if you have to. Maybe take a hot bath, or do something, read a book before bed, but get in the habit of getting your body prepared by shutting down all that input that gets your stress going. Okay, and that's common sense, but people tend to ignore it. They even bring their phone to bed. Don't do that. Okay, which brings me to my next point. Keeping your bed strictly for things that you're supposed to do in bed, such as sleep and other things, okay? Not bringing your work into your bedroom, not bringing your phone in and scrolling through social media, because that is going to trigger your brain to say, okay, you know what? I'm in my bedroom. When I'm in here, I'm doing work, so maybe that's going to stress me out. Instead of saying, okay, here's my bedroom. This is the place where I relax, where I shut down, and, prepare myself for sleep. Your body is aware of that kind of thing, whether you know it or not. It subconsciously says, this is the place where I'm supposed to be doing this. It associates wherever you are with whatever you do, okay? And you don't want to walk into your bedroom and associate that with high stress things such as work or scrolling through social media. So that's tip number 3, keep your bedroom simply for bedroom things. All right, so many people nowadays are very busy and they're eating later and later into the night. I know people that don't eat until 8 o'clock in the evening, which is sometimes when my kids or me, I'm in bed, okay? The problem with that is, especially if you're eating heavy meals, your body's digestion is kicking into high gear and it's taking a lot of energy to do that. Yes, it can, we think, when we eat big meals, we go to sleep, but it also creates a stress in your body that can help keep you awake. So you want to make sure to avoid heavy meals, but also if you have heavy greasy meals or sugary meals or something that gives you indigestion, that type of feeling, if you are sensitive to panic or anxiety, can heighten that because it acts as a type of stimulus for that stress or that anxiety. So you don't want to be having heavy meals right before bed, and try to eat earlier if possible. That will help as well. The other thing that I didn't know, yes, I knew caffeine made people not sleep, but if you are prone to anxiety, you are hypersensitive usually to caffeine. Okay, so you have to stop drinking caffeine like midday, like noon, 1 o'clock, if you're going to be able to get a good sleep, because your body is so hypersensitive or oversensitive to that caffeine. So you want to make sure to do that as well. And I know these things may sound kindergartenish, but they're things that we don't think to do, and they're things that can really help us, when you think about it, get a better night's sleep, especially if we have anxiety. Okay, because the less sleep we get, the more anxious we're going to get, and it's just a vicious cycle, and we want to put an end to that. Okay, so cut down on the caffeine, try to keep it out of your diet if possible. Also, the caffeine foods such as like chocolate, try to stay away from those things as well. Now, this is something that I do all the time now. I get to sleep, but I sometimes can't stay asleep. If I'm laying in bed, or anybody's laying in bed for like 20-30 minutes and you just cannot, you're not even close to falling asleep, get up and don't do anything electronic. Don't turn on the lights, don't make them bright, because that'll wake your body up, but just do a small task. I go and I do my laundry, or I will start, cleaning a little bit or folding laundry. It's just something, and I'll do it in the dark, but it's just something to take my mind off the anxiety or all those thoughts going through my head, and I get something done, and it breaks that sitting in bed getting more anxious feeling. Okay, so get up. If you're laying there for more than 20 or 30 minutes, do a small task, maybe read, but not on electronics. Read a book in low lighting, and that will help you feel a little bit more drowsy. Now, this is starting to move where we get that anxious, almost panicky feeling when we're laying there and all those bad thoughts are going through our head. Once I really start to do that, I say, okay, let's just stop what I'm doing. I'm going to engage all 5 senses. And what does that mean? Well, it grounds you and it calms your body by saying, okay, can I see something? Yes, I can see something. Can I smell something? And I'll look for something to smell. Okay, that's working. Okay, can I touch something? Can I feel it? Yep, that's working too. Can I taste something? And maybe I'll swallow or brush my teeth. It awakens my senses. And can I hear something? That's the other sense. And obviously, there's always something going on. Maybe some white noise, that might help you sleep as well. But if you engage all 5 senses and you say, okay, all of my senses are working, it kind of grounds you and makes you feel a little bit more calm. And it sounds kind of stupid. And it sounded really dumb when somebody told me to do it. But when I start to get that anxiousness and that severe anxiousness turning / panic attack, that's what I need to do, is I need to ground myself in all 5 senses. Okay, so try that next time you're starting to feel panic, especially at night, because that's when it happens for most of us anyway, right? So those are the 7 tips to prepare and to know for when you need to start preparing for sleep. But here's what you want to do as well. What I like to do, and this is what got me through my PTSD, and I talk about it a lot, but I have a notebook by my bed. And that notebook is not for anybody else to see. And it's not for me to keep like a diary. But what I do is when I'm feeling stressed out and I feel like that, I'm going to die tomorrow, or I'm not going to wake up or whatever, I get out my notebook, and whatever I'm feeling at that moment, I write down. I write down all the lies that are going through my head, because that's what they are. They're not facts. They're the voices inside our head that we're telling ourselves that something bad's going to happen. It's those worst case scenario feelings that usually aren't valid, right? Because you're here watching, you've probably lived through a bunch of panic episodes or anxiety episodes. It hasn't killed you, but I'm sure you have felt like that, because I have too. And I would swear I would be dead in the next 5 minutes, but it's not happening, okay? And most of the stuff that we worry about doesn't come true. So I want you to write down whatever thoughts are going through your head, because when you physically get it out on paper and make it tangible, you're letting your body let go of it, okay? So help your body let go of whatever it is you're thinking. And then you're going to, underneath that, you're going to start changing your mindset, because that's the only way you can get out of these panic modes, okay? It's not the only way, but this is the biggest way, because we set ourselves up for this, all right? The more we think about it, the more we panic or have anxiety, and the less sleep we get. So once you've figured out what it is you're stressing about at that moment, go ahead and write down the facts about that situation. So let's say you have a job interview the next day, and you're worried, you're going to be sick. You're worried that they're going to not like you. You're worried about all this stuff, right? Or you're going to get lost in the morning. I used to have that fear. Maybe I won't know exactly how to get there. I'll be late and they won't hire me. Okay, so that's a negative thought we tell ourselves. It's just a worry. It's not a fact, because we haven't even gone there yet. It's tomorrow, right? It's not right now. So one of the facts I would write down is, I have the directions printed out, or I have the directions in my phone, so I'll be able to figure it out. Okay, that's a fact. I have the directions. So that negates that worry that I'm stressed out about missing the appointment for my interview. Okay, does that make sense? Or what if they hate me? Well, the fact is they haven't even met me yet. Why the heck am I stressed out about them not liking me? Okay, they haven't met me yet. I'm a good person. I know my stuff for this interview. I want this job, right? Those are all facts that we need to tell ourselves to negate the voices in our head that make us crazy and make us lose sleep. Okay, so after you have figured out what you're worried about and written that down, and then you've written down the facts underneath that, you're starting to change your mindset. Now, the last thing I do to make it go one step further is I write down at least 3 things that went great that day. Instead of focusing on anything negative, I might have had a crappy day and an anxious day because my interview's tomorrow. But what 3 things went right? What can I be happy about? What can I be positive about? What can I focus on other than worrying about tomorrow that's not even here yet? All right? And when you're done with those 3 things, you can just toss them out and rip them up. Because it's not for anybody to read. It's for you to get your feelings out and change your mindset so that you can sleep better. And that's what it's all about. You have to prepare for this, which is something I didn't do. And I regret, because I lost, I feel like, years of sleep. That happened to me back in 2007, March of 2007. And I haven't been able to sleep right since, but I've been able to help myself. And I sleep now, and I can, function usually. And I know what to do if I can't sleep. So I hope that has helped you. And if you're an anxious person anyway, and you feel like, I'm anxious all the time, I don't have time to finish everything I need to do while I get this done, I want you to head to findyourfreetime.com. That's my free program that helps you find 1 to 2 hours a day to do what it is you have to do on top of all your chores. This is 1 to 2 hours of free time that's dedicated to you, and that you can delegate whatever you want to in that 1 to 2 hours of time. So if you're new to this channel, again, please subscribe here. Visit us every week so that I can help you help yourself and find joy and freedom again in whatever it is you do, whether it's your business or your life. I want you to head to findyourfreetime.com. You can also hit it in the link below, and I will see you over there. Let's head there now.